Every technique I use is very much because there is no other way to do what I wanted to do. I use photography because I couldn't find any other way to do or to express or to show what I did discover in that moment or something, so I use the camera. The same goes with the terracottas or the drawings or the transformation of a car like that. So I think that in all the process there is humor a little bit because you are analyzing, deconstructing a situation or amusing yourself by things that just happen or just trying to make a geometric arrangement, which is already a kind of funny thing, you know. It's like, if you think about it, it's more like kids stuff. And kids, they do it because it's fun. In this particular show, some of the photographs are really special to me. And then Black Kites is very special because I spent 6 months doing that piece and a more special moment of my life. The special circumstances doing Black Kites was just that, although I did have the idea before, at some point in that end of '96, was a very heavy, a lot of work that year. So at the end of the year, I was just in my house the morning, and I cough a little bit and all that, and then I started to have pain, and then I went to hospital because it was too, and what happened is that I have a collapsed lung. So I had to spend 1 week in hospital recovering. And then after that, I worked for 6 months making the drawing. So it was a very intimate experience in indoors, convalescence, and doing this drawing carefully on a human skull, so life and death, geometry and nature, structure and accident. Yeah, getting really as close as possible to a sense of death or the consciousness of death, but in a philosophical way too. So it's not about a dramatic corpse in the street after an accident. So it's not an expressionistic piece. It's not a noisy piece. It's in a way very enigmatic and quiet and controlled. So that's I think what makes it very mysterious. Which is probably more. Death is like that. Death is cold, enigmatic, very precise, and very, you know, geometric too. So there are moments in some works that you concentrate all that happening in your life and energy, and they became more witness of a very important moment in your life. The stones is the last work I did last year, 2013, in April. I showed them. I took me like 6 months to collect all the stones, and then I was going to the same river close to the ocean, so they have already rotated a lot and circulated a lot and had a lot of water and weather. So the shapes were already very suggestive for me. So I started to draw on them, kind of sketch out the possibilities of the dynamic of the process that formed the rocks the way they look now. So sometimes some of these rocks takes, you know, thousands of years to get into this shape. So from that on, then I draw on them and do the carvings. It was a very interesting process to me. I call it a kind of retrospective drawing or retrospective carving of the history of the stone itself. So there are circles as drops, as circuits, as rotational trajectories or orbits, and you have all these incisions, but they are behaving a little bit like nature would behave to form these rocks. So the motifs are basically abstract and very, I would say, physical, realistic in a way. I have an idea of what it's going to become, yes. But I know that in the process many other things can happen, so I think that we always work with the hope that in the process of making something there will be a very nice blessing accident about you discover something else and then you have another idea for the future, you know. So I think it's very important to go from A to B, but in the middle of the process, you can have C, D, E, F, G, etc., etc. So you have to be aware of all the accidents and the topography of the process of making a work. I think the terracotta, ceramics, obviously clay, is a fascinating media because it has been very old. It's a part of very, very early history of humankind or basic tools for transportation, for storage, for food, all that, you know. But the thing is that still we use ceramics, so it's still industrially produced, but also handmade. Ceramics is a tradition that still is irreplaceable. It still is part of our everyday life. With all the technology we have and all the new materials and all that, this is still a very important media for our everyday life. And obviously in contemporary art, it's not easy to see what is the history of ceramics, but there is one. When I started to do back ceramics in 2002, I don't even know who was doing ceramics in contemporary art. It was not important. So I was just intrigued for this project, and then I got hooked again, like almost addicted to do clay, because it's really a very essential and basic process of work, and I always think, I always like that, to have this fluidity in terms of working and in process all the time, never ending, always at the beginning. The ceramic world and the activity of ceramics, terracotta and clay work has that feeling. It's very old, but it's always very new. It's very unfinished and it's very unpredictable, so you don't know how it's going to end. Obviously, the firing, everything breaks and it's a mess. So the whole process is so very, very enigmatic and very emotional, and also very, very hard. It's very hard to make good pieces of ceramics. So I think that it's just that it's that quality, and probably similar thing happened with painting. So that's why somehow I still like to do, as much as I do ceramics from time to time, I also do painting from time to time, because it's a way of almost like making yoga or go swimming or do some kind of activity that is about breathing, about time, about the body in action, about awareness, sensuality, and thinking while you are walking. So it has to do with this process of always walking, moving, doing things with your hands, and thinking while you are doing. So it's not an end. It's something that it just goes on all the time. There is not a dead end. It's just always a way to move. Art is, you start a process, and obviously because it starts from as a relationship with nature, with your life, with yourself, it has to work as an instrument of a relationship for someone else. So I think that is always for communication in that sense. And that doesn't mean it has to be, can be one person, two, or a million people watching the work. It doesn't matter. There is a receptor, someone who is going to receive the work, and that is going to be the person or the public who is going to finish the work. So it's part of the process, the public. It's not the end of the process, it's the continuation of the process that keeps evolving in every artwork. Thank you very much. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for watching. I hope it was not boring. Why you did it?